Welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self Doubt Podcast. I'm your girl, Felicia Wallace. I want to thank all of our new and continued listeners for tuning in every week, whether you listen to the solo episodes or you listen to the guest episodes. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. All the feedback that you all give me, whether it's through a share, a comment on a post, a DM, or an email, like I truly appreciate it. It definitely lets me know that this is something that I just have to continue to do because one, you guys are listening, but also that is this is just such an important topic, especially now. And just I've seen so much like self-awareness around me, within my friends, within my circles, within people, just like coming into their own, especially women, right? I think we are like rising up. That song was Rise Up. I can't remember the rest of the words, but that's literally what popped into my head was Rise Up. But it just made me think like we are we are stronger than we think, and we're stronger than we know. And a lot of getting our power back is just really owning our stuff. And I'm just so glad to be a part of that journey for anyone who is on this self-awareness journey. It definitely takes you down some some dark roads, because you just never know what you may find when you really start doing the work to heal yourself from the inside out. So again, I just want to thank each and every one of you, and I'm just gonna keep showing up as long as y'all keep showing up for me. That's my commitment to you. And so I would ask the same. You would ask that of me, and I would ask that of you. Just keep showing up for me, and I promise to keep showing up for you. This week was pretty busy for me. I did a couple of clubhouses. Actually, not a couple. I did three. So I did my regular one on Sunday. I did one on Tuesday, and I did one on Thursday. The one on Tuesday and Thursday, I actually collaborated with two amazing women, and we had some amazing conversations. Tuesday's conversation was about my entrepreneurial mindset shifts in 2021, and Thursday's conversation was about slaying self doubt with using affirmations. And they both were, oh my gosh, it just were, there were some powerful conversations. You know, a lot of women that women and men, I take that back because they were men on both panels, but women and men who shared so many things that for me, you know, when I go into anything new, even when I do these podcasts, even if I do a guest podcast, a panel, if I whatever it is, I'm always like, God, you know, you put me in this situation, and you know what it is that you want me to do here. You know why you aligned me with these people or with this organization or with this podcast or whatever the case may be. You know, I need you to show up. And so I literally go into each of those situations, just one, asking God to remove all doubt, fears, and insecurities, but also asking him to show up to let me know why he needed me in that room. And in all three of those situations, there was a person who was saying like, I needed this today. Thank you for, you know, sharing the space. Thank you for talking about this. And it made me, over this past week, it just made me realize that these are conversations that are not happening in people's close knit circles. And if I'm being honest, it ain't happening in mine neither. Even as me being the resident slaying self doubt her whatever. You know, it's just not conversation because it's vulnerability, right? It is an uncomfortableness of being able to say what your fears are, what your doubts are. It's uncomfortable as saying like what you feel insecure about. Those are the things that we keep to ourselves, and we keep them hidden. And but when we do that, that also limits our potential. It limits what we can do because we don't have the people surrounding us to be able to say like, nah, you got this. And so even for myself, I know I need to do a better job of, and I mentioned this before, of like sharing and using, allowing my circles, my villages, my friend group of friends to support me in the areas where I do feel doubt. You know, they definitely, when I tell them, hey, I'm doing something, they definitely show up and they show out, and they, you know, they'll be in the room. You know what I'm saying? But I don't necessarily go to them and be like, y'all, okay, I'm about to do this thing and it's causing me some anxiety. It's causing me some fear, whatever. These are the things that's coming up for me. And even though I'm very vulnerable in here, for some reason, this is an assignment for me from God. And because of the assignment, I know that there's greater stakes on it, right? And so I'm open to be able to say things on here because this is what God is asking me to do. But He ain't asking me to tell my friends. That's not how I feel anyway. But this week just showed me that, you know, there's a side of all of us that we need to be vulnerable to for the people that genuinely care about us, right? Like my girls, all my girls love me. Like I know that they do. Like they showed up, and even in like I think I might have mentioned to you all back in November, I turned 40. And so my sister and my cousins put on a virtual event for me. It was Bourbons with Bun. And because I like bourbon. Uh, but it was the like a mixing pot of like middle school girlfriends, high school, college, and family members. And it was just like for me to see people that I met, like some of these girls I met when I was 13, right? Like legit, I was the new girl in school, and here we are literally from 13 to 40, it was 20 plus years later. We are in a situation where we're going into a new phase of life, right? And so all the things that I went through, all the things that I've endured, some of them were with me, some of them we've been a part of. Um, it was amazing to me that there was a part in it where they did a seat of honor. And so basically everybody kind of went around and said something, nice about me. I appreciate it. It was like a tear out moment. Like later on when I thought about it, even think about now, it brings me so much joy because one of the things that they said, a lot of them was saying like how loyal I am. Like they could ask me to do something and I'm gonna be like, where you want me to be at? I'm right there. I already showed up, right? And so they do the same in return. And I know this is going a little bit, it's about to go off topic, but you have to show up for your community and your village the same way they show up for you. So it goes both ways. And so just at the beginning of this, I just want to encourage you all, and I'm encouraging myself, that we do not have to do this by ourselves. We do not have to do this lane self-doubt journey alone. We can bring people along with us. It's a choice of whether or not you want to, just be in your doubt, in your fear, and in your insecurity. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can do it with the people that love you and genuinely want the best for you. So that's some encouragement for me, and I hope it encourages you all as well. I'm sure that there's somebody that popped into your head, even if it's not everybody. I'm sure there's probably like two or three girls that popped into your head, or guys, because I think guys listen to this podcast too. But it's probably two or three people that popped into your head that you say, you know what, I trust this person with my insecurities. I trust this person with my fears, that they won't. Because I think a lot of the fear is that you're afraid that that person will use that thing against you. You know what I'm saying? But you know that there's some people that will never do that. They will never betray your trust. I don't know what's going on with my words today, y'all. Like I told y'all, this Bell's palsy, sometimes it just my lips and my tongue, it don't be going together. So my apologies at the time. So let's get into the topic for today. So last week we talked about identifying your fears and why it's so important to identify your fears. I posted this a question on Instagram or on my social media accounts last week, that or earlier this week rather, that was, how do you identify self-doubt, or how do you define self-doubt? My bad, that was the question. How do you define self-doubt? So one of the things that I want to start doing is I want to bring you all into the conversation. I want to hear from you because this it's a journey, right? And I say that often, and I say, I just told you, you can't do it by yourself. And so what I do know, and I do understand, that sometimes it's easier to talk to the person who's already talking about the conversation, so it doesn't feel like it's completely out of the way, right? Like it doesn't feel like it just kind of came up. And so what I want to do is every week I'm going to pose a question, and what I will in turn do is dig a little deeper on the solo episodes about that question that I asked you. So this week was about, how do you define self-doubt? The reason why I wanted you to ask yourself that question really is because you have to know what it looks like to you. This is so it ties in also into identifying your fears, but how you define self-doubt and identifying your fears are two practical things that you can do to really combat and really start slaying your self-doubt, right? Understanding what it looks like and how it shows up in your life. There was someone who said that like one of the things is doubting themselves. Of course, some of that is obvious. Somebody else said that it was talking themselves out of situations. Other people said that it was not believing in yourself, not trusting yourself. And so I would ask you to, what does that look like? That's the next question. What does it look like for you to not trust yourself? What does it look like for you to doubt yourself? Are you talking yourself out of a situation? Are you telling yourself you're not qualified? Are you undermining your, like, what does that look like? You have to know what it looks like. For me, I know that my self-doubt shows up in procrastination. So when I doubt my abilities, or I doubt what it is that I can do, I procrastinate. um and procrastination looks like a whole bunch of different things. If you listen to episode 2, I'm pretty sure it's episode two or three of this podcast. It's called Procrastination. I literally knew that I was supposed to do this podcast. I recorded the first episode in July of 2018. This podcast did not start until March of 2019. I procrastinated for more than 6 months, and it was my doubt coming up of saying nobody's going to listen. Who wants to have this conversation? Who's gonna how many people are going to listen? Who is going to listen? Who even cares? Should I be doing this? I have other things to do. Let me focus on being a wife. Let me focus on being a mother. Let me focus on my job. Like, all of those things kept coming up to me, and so I kept putting it off. I just kept putting it off. But guess what didn't go away? That internal thing inside of me that said, okay, I kept coming back to it. I kept coming back to it. And even though I didn't publish, I recorded. I would record an episode and I would say, okay, I'm gonna use this for the next one. And then the next year came, the beginning of 2019 came, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna record this episode. When I came into starting Slaying Self Doubt the podcast, I had 3 episodes that had been recorded, up to 9 months prior to, or up to 7 or 8 months prior to me actually publishing it and putting it out for people to hear. And I know that that is how I procrastinate. When I know I have another assignment and I know I have something that I need to do, and it's bringing me angst, and it's bringing me fear, and it's bringing me anxiety, and I'm so nervous about what other people think, because it's not about me, right? 9 times out of 10, it's not like I don't think I can't do it. Sometimes, but for the most part, it's not about me. It's about how others will receive it, right? And when it comes into that, I'm always just so nervous. Like, what do I do? What is the next thing? Should I start? Should I do? So, like, for instance, when I decided that I wanted to do coaching, and I wasn't really sure exactly. Like, I was like, I've been technically coaching, majority of my life, right? Because it comes naturally to me to be able to want to see the best in other people. It literally does. And so when I took the steps, I would do other things. So another part of procrastination for me is busyness. It doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. I do all the things in between. So I'll be like, okay, I want to do this, and I'm going to do A through Z before I actually execute at certain times, in certain situations, not in everything, but in certain situations, I use busyness as a tool of procrastination. And so for me, because I can identify that when my doubt shows up, Felicia procrastinates by either doing nothing or being way too busy doing other things. I know that that's my self doubt, and that is how it shows up for me. So now I'm in a place where when I see it rear its ugly head and I see it pop up, I'm able to be like, wait a minute, what is going on? And me have a conversation, okay? And I'll be like, girl, why are you not doing X, Y, and Z? What is the issue? And I now have what I have for myself is a conversation. So I have the tools to be able to tell myself, okay, why is it that you are afraid of executing this idea? And then I say, well, what if nobody shows up? What if nobody comes? And then I ask myself, well, what if one person comes? And what if that one person is exactly who God had for you? What if that one person, their life is transformed because you did what you were supposed to do? Then the stakes change. And then I'm like, well, yeah, I guess you're right. Because if I don't do it, then that person who needs me will not get what they need, right? And y'all hear me say often that our obedience is connected to someone somewhere, right? And so I know that when my self-doubt shows up, I act in a certain type of way. The next step is for me to combat that with questions that I need to ask myself, and then understanding my original why, understanding why I'm even in this situation to begin with. And it's because, what did I say earlier? God gave me an assignment. This is my assignment, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so if I'm not doing my job, then whoever God gave his next assignment to can't do their job, right? And I don't want that beef. I don't want any of that. And me knowing those things, I didn't know this before. Before, I was unaware. I'm not gonna say I was unaware. I didn't take the time to identify those fears. I didn't take the time to identify or define what self-doubt meant to me, how I viewed it, because someone else's self-doubt may look completely different. I may not relate to that, right? And so that is the reason why I'm going to ask you these questions, and I want you to tell me, because that's your indicator. So when you think about it, I want you to go, you can go write the question down, but you can go back to that question and say, I define self-doubt as um undermining my abilities, or thinking that I do not have the ability to do something when I know that I have the skills and I've done the work, right? So then when that your boss tells you, hey, I need you to do this project, or you get, you get given a different assignment from God, or you're trying to walk into your purpose, and you get, bombarded with something, or something comes, an obstacle comes up, and you have the skills to do it, and you have the abilities to do it, but you're doubting yourself. When you know that, then guess what? When it comes up, you be like, okay, this is what I know. I know that right now this is scary. Yes, it is. And my doubt is coming up because what? Because I don't think that I'm qualified to do this when I've already done the work. I have the skill set. If you've gone to school, you may have the education. If you've been doing it, that means you have the expertise, right? So what is it that's stopping you from doing it? Then you combat that with the truth. I have all these things. So what is it that I'm afraid of? I don't know. Let me keep moving. And for me, I feel like that when I do that for myself, it allows me to be able to just be like, okay, this is momentary, because self-doubt will continue, because every time, I told y'all before, every time you level up, a new thing will come up, and self-doubt will rear its ugly head. But if we are slaying, it's not slayed, right? It's not slays, it's slaying, which means it's continual. You're going to continue to slay yourself. Y'all, that was a whole word right there. Okay. I didn't even realize that until just right now. Like, we're slaying, which is an action. This is what we're doing. Y'all see my hand? Whoo, whoo, I'm crazy. I'm sorry. But yes, we are slaying our self doubt. That is what we are doing. So if we're doing that, it's a continual action. It's not going to go away. You're going to have to know, but you have to know what you're slaying. Hello, the self doubt. What is that? That's the reason why we're asking these questions. So, just as a quick recap, right? Last week we talked about identifying our fears, and what are you afraid of. I would encourage you to get a journal, a little spiral notebook, composition book, whatever. Put it in your notes in your phone, and write down that question. What am I identifying my fears? What am I afraid of? The question is very simple. It's very simple. What am I afraid of? And when we talk about being afraid, and it's about what am I afraid of, what are the things that I'm afraid of that's stopping me from going to my the better version of myself, to going to my next level, to being able to walk into my purpose? That is the question that we're asking ourselves. And then the second question that you want to ask yourself is, how do I define self-doubt? How, when I think about self-doubt for myself, right? We're not talking about the dictionary, but even though the dictionary, I told y'all, it says, and so if you go into my on my Instagram page, it's not in my stories, it's on the IGTV, that the dictionary says that self-doubt is the lack of confidence in one's abilities and skills, like a lack of confidence. That's, so what does that look like to you? What does your lack of confidence in your skills and abilities look like? That is what self-doubt. So you answer those two questions for yourself and you keep that. And then when self-doubt rears its ugly head and you get, like I said, you get something else comes up and self-doubt enters the room and enters your brain or whatever have you, you if a new thing pops up, you keep a tally of what it looks like I only told you one thing for me is procrastination. Another thing is anxiety. Like I literally get anxiety like in my body. I can physically feel it, and so then it becomes a distraction. Another thing is sleepiness. I literally like self-doubt sometimes, and like I said, it manifests in different type of waves, but I have to know what it looks like. I have to know how it comes up. I have to know what it is that I'm thinking for myself to know that, okay, this is self-doubt. And the only way you're going to know is if you answer these questions. So remember, we're going to identify our fears. That is the first thing. So what are you afraid of? That's the first question you ask yourself. And then the second question is, how do you define self-doubt? Next week, well, I guess this comes out on Sunday, right? So since this comes out on Sunday the 17th, I'll have another question this week coming up. The week between I'm sorry, looking at the calendar, 18th through the what? 22nd? Is that what that's like? I don't have my glasses on, y'all. I'm sorry. 18th to the 22nd. So somewhere in between that time, I'm going to ask you another question. And again, all of these has to do with self-doubt. All of this stuff is for us to just have a conversation. It's for us to be able to really do the work, because I did last year was, or the last 2 years rather. It's great just talking about it. You know what I mean? Like we can just talk about it. Oh yeah, girl, I know exactly how that feels. Yeah, I be having the same thing. Whoop de whoop, blah blah blah. Okay, now what are we gonna do about it? What are we going to do? And if I'm talking about mine, you got to talk about yours. This is how this works. This is also the reason why when I did decide to do coaching, and when I went to coaching training and really trying to figure out what my niche was going to be, right? Because people have so many things. Oh, financial coaches, relationship coaches, career coaches, all the type of coaches. And I was like, my thing is self-doubt. And I know it's purpose empowerment. But in order for you to be walking your purpose fully, for you to be able to do that, you have to know the stuff that you bring in with you, because who you are as a person is going to walk into your purpose. And so if you are not clear and healed from the things that you need to be healed from, that's going to walk into the people that you're connected to, and they don't deserve that because they don't even know, right? And we want to make sure that when we are, this is soul work that we're doing, we want to make sure that we are in a place when we are clear, so that we, whatever it is that God calls us to do, we have clarity on, and the other person is not receiving the backlash of the things we never took the time to fix, right? So we do not want to do that. So that is the reason why that this quarter I will be rolling out both group and individual self-doubt coaching, and we will go over some of these things, and I will give you some practical tools on really trying to navigate these feelings that you are having and these thoughts that are coming up. And what do you do when that happens, literally in the middle of, in the middle of, being in a meeting and you need to speak up, but your brain is telling you, girl, you in front of all these people who have master degrees and this, that, and the third. You don't have nothing of value to say. You don't have, well, what are you going to say? Somebody else basically already said that. So I don't need to say anything because they basically said what it was. No, they didn't say what it was that you needed to say. And so I encourage you all to join the wait list, okay? Because this is a developing thing the Lord is downloading in me. And so I told y'all, this year, 2021, my words are obedience, alignment, and community. Those are the things that I am anchored in right now. It's the obedience for me, but the alignment is very key. I cannot move on this until God tells me this is what I need you to do, and that's why, I want you all to be very clear about what it is that if you want to work with me, the things that we're going to do. We're going to do some real work. This ain't going to be okay, I'm gonna give you this sheet of paper and you're gonna fill it out and, oh yeah, girl, blah blah. We're not doing that. That is not what's about to happen. Be very clear with you. This is about you. It's not about your mother. It's not about your father. Not about your baby father, your auntie, your uncle, your sister, your cousin, your friend. It ain't about nobody else but you. And so I'm very clear that if you are ready to do the work, when I tell you that God gave me something to help you do your work, trust me that this is not this ain't no slight work. This ain't no um cookie cutter, none of that. Okay. This is some real soul work. And I am honored and privileged that God gave this to me to be able to watch other women just flourish. Like that right there, that is what brings my heart joy. That is what brings my heart just so much peace and just happiness to know that I am walking in my purpose by allowing other women to free themselves of the thing that is keeping them in bondage. So if you are interested in doing either individual or group coaching with me, go to my website and just sign up for the sign up and on the wait list. You just need to leave your name and your email address, and as things start to come out, I will definitely send you the information, and you will be the first to know before it even gets published anywhere. So when I'm like I said, I'm clear on alignment, I'm clear on being obedient. So when God says go, you best be ready to go, because we going to do this. This year is about action. It's about work, and we going to do the things that we need to do to get into community with each other, so that we're not doing this by ourselves. I am here with you so that we can do this work together. So that's all I have for this week. I hope you all have an amazing week. We got MLK Day on Monday, and then inauguration on Wednesday. I really right now, just really quickly, I know before we end, we usually end with the serenity prayer, but I definitely want to pray for the Biden family and the Harris family as they embark on this new journey. Um, God knows exactly what he needs to do in this season. And he is using the people that he needs to use in order to get his message and his purpose across. I pray for the soldiers, I pray for the police officers, all law enforcement that is going to be there on inauguration day. I just pray that God's peace, God's comfort, and God's protection be across everybody on January 20th. I pray for anybody who goes nearby, who's down there. I just pray for everybody comfort, peace, protection, and covering. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I had to do that because y'all know a couple of last week was a mess, and we got to get this done. Like, we did the work, the people spoke, we know we want change, and I've been saying to y'all, 2020 was an answered prayer. God is continuing showing up. God is going to continue to do the things that need to be done in order to do his work, and that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay. um, y'all have a good week. See ya.